In the last video, we talked about the people's list, and you can think of it as your team roster in the company. Now, if you've noticed at the end of the last video, I've actually tapped into the view that we're going to write today, the people.html.erb view. And that was pretty much for my practicing for this video. And you can really forget about that if you saw it, because we're going to rewrite that code or write that code in today's video. So before we get anywhere, what I want you to do is I want you to go to your orgs company folder, and I want you to create the people.html.erb and fill it in with this code that you see on the screen. This code is pretty much the code that we are always going to start off with. So it's kind of like a template for any page with sidebar. So now what we have here is an account that is already attached to a company. It's part of the company fish. Now if I tab into the people, you can see that it throws us into a page with the company name, which is company fish's roster, which is this line of code here, line 7, and that is what is generated. Now, if he was not the COO, which he is, then it will say that to join a company and be approved to view team. We won't show that in today's video, but what I do want to show is a new account. So I started a new account just for purposes of this video. His name is Smelly123, and he's not part of a company yet. So what I want to do is I want to select him to be part of Company Fish, and let's save changes. Now a whole bunch of options show up for Smelly, and if he tabs into people, it tells him that you need to be approved by the company you have assigned to first to access the requested page. And that's the correct function because we don't want anyone signing up for a company and seeing what this company is doing, is operating. So to to authorize him is what this people's list is going to do. So if we go back to company fish's roster, we will create a table of all the coworkers, all the team members of company fish, and all the pre all the people that needs approval to join company fish's roster. So in our people's list, we're going to write out the code to show all those people. So what I want you to do is I want you to open the table tag, and the class is going to be table. Inside the table tag is going to be t-head, and inside t-head we're going to start off with our table rows, and we're going to have our table headers, and we're going to center these headers, let's say. And this first row or first header would be first name, and I want you to repeat that for 4 more times. So we want last name, email, role, and actions. So that's that. And after having our T head done, I want you to open up the T body tag, and because this is going to be the meat of our table. Now open that up, and I want you to start off with a for loop. So people each pretty much loops through the people variable that we looked for in our controller, which is from line 71 in our controller right now. And we also need to close this off or else it's going to complain. And what I want to do first is I want to start it off with a tr, and inside of this tr we're going to have some td classes, so not php but td, and this class is going to be call sm2. And again, we're going to center this, so let's center it and let's give it a span so that it doesn't start off on a new block or anything like that. And this first table data that I'm going to put in is the person's first name, so we're going to loop through each person, and each person is part of the org person model, so we're going to grab their first name, because if we look into our org people table, we have their first name. So I want to do that for the last name as well. I also want to do that to grab their email, to show them what the email is. So we actually don't need that. So that's that. Now I want you to open up an if statement. Now, this if statement will pretty much check for this guy's position or this person's position. So type position blank. And again, you would need to close this off or put an else, but we're going to have an else. And then we'll end it with an end. So in this if statement, I want to get the person's the person's position's name if if the guy has a position. So if their position is actually set, then let's just show the name of the position. Otherwise, we're going to give them a drop down or give us a drop down so that we can pick a position for this person, whether he's a general worker or whether he's a director. I'm the COO. I can be able to pick what kind of position he will have, he or she will have. So TD, we're gonna open up another TD, and the class is going to be call SM2. Again, let's center this thing. And inside this center, we're going to have another if statement. A lot of if statements today. So inside this if statement, we're going to have a more complex condition. So what we're going to have is if the org person's position, if the person's position is not blank, and if if our position is smaller than this person's position, then we can do something. And if we check our table, so let's check our table, select all from type positions. So let's see what that gives us. So you can see that our chief operating officer has an ID of 1, our director has an ID of 2, regional manager 3, store manager 4, employee 5. So the lower rank you are, the higher your ID. So we want to check that if our position is actually lower than this other person's position, because if this person's position is an employee, my position is at the top, it's 1, it's chief of operations, then I would be able to edit their position. So I'm just gonna put a little comment here just to remind you guys. See how nice I am to you. So if the person has a role and your role is less than theirs, you are of higher status and you can edit them. So to edit them, we're gonna just put a little button there. And actually we're gonna put 2 buttons. We're gonna put an edit role button and we're going to put a remove button just so we can remove the person if they're no longer part of the company or if we just don't like them. Now, if we are the COO or not an employee level, then you can do the edit and remove rows, right? So in our else if statement, the else if is pretty much like an else, but it's also kind of like the if in that we can use conditions. So if the person's position ID is 0, and if our position is greater than 0 and our position is less than 5, then we could also do these edit rows. Now, actually, this part doesn't really make much sense because you're only 0 if you're waiting for approval. So we're going to delete this code because it's really not ever going to be true. Because if you're a person waiting for approval, then your position type is actually 0. And 0 is less than 5, but 0 can never be less than 0. Hmm. Okay, actually, this code is fine, so my own code is confusing me. But what this code is saying is that if this person is not approved yet, but is waiting for approval, and you actually are in a position that is not an employee, so you are a chief of operations, a director, a regional manager, or a store manager, then you have the right to actually bring this person in the company and approve them. So this is what this else if statement is for. And that's pretty much our view. That's pretty much our code. So let's put an end there, or else it will complain. And let's close off this line because we just want things neat and pretty. And let's save this. And if we go to our Google Chrome or our browser and refresh, then you can see that this person, Smelly123, is actually waiting for approval. So we're actually jumping into the else if statement. And because I am the chief of operations, I have the right to edit him, to bring him into the company, and do whatever we want with him. But right now, this thing doesn't work because we have to use Ajax in order to call the server from the front end and edit our database on the fly. So that is the up and coming video for the next episode, maybe. But for now, I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you learned something. Please rate, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave your questions and comments in the comment box as always, and I'll see you guys next time.